Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into another Wednesday morning on the Roundtable here on WGNS. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. And speaking of Blue Raiders, we're going to be talking Blue Raider athletics during this hour. During the first part of the hour, Dana Marquez, the Associate AD for Equipment and the General Manager of Blue Raider Football, will be joining me. And we're going to talk about all of those things that I just mentioned. And then in the second half of the show, Nathan Wallach, who is the Assistant AD for Broadcast Technology and Game Operations, will be talking about some major construction projects that are getting very close to the finish line and some other things that are going on. But first, Dana Marquez joins us. And Dana, how are you doing today?
Well, Chip, thank you very much for having me on the show. No, I'm doing great. It's been a busy 6 months.
God, it seems like you've been here longer than 6 months simply because you've been doing so much.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's coming into a new program and kind of seeing where we started and where we want to go. Meeting with Coach Mason and seeing where his vision is. Really, for the last 2 years, I've been studying sports performance and kind of how it affects the college market. And I think it aligns really well with what Chris Massaro and Dr. McPhee and the group are talking about on how we're going to move our programs in a different direction now with NIL and revenue share, so on and so forth. How are we going to take that sports performance move? And obviously you talked a little bit about the sports performance complex that's being built. So a lot of that is coming to fruition right now, and it's just taking those steps to make those things happen.
One of the things, that I think the general public would like to get their head wrapped around a little bit is how does the House settlement, and we hear that phrase, the House settlement.
Sure.
Kind of what does that mean, and what does it mean to different schools? Because it's not going to mean the same thing here as it might mean at Ohio State or Southern California, or for that matter at Belmont or where else.
Yeah, I think you have to take little bites of what this House-Senate rule is, right? I still don't think there's a lot of things that still need to be done, right? There's not all the rules have been put into place, but I think what we took out of it was how can we help our student athlete understand why they're here? And one of the first things I've asked our student athletes is basically explain three things. Why do you want to come to MTSU? What do you want to accomplish, and how do you want to go about doing it, right? And once I can get those three things, those three matrices put together, then I can take a look at what the House rule really wants us to do, right? If we want to do profit share, how does that look, right? If you look at the market out there, the Power Four, right, the USCs, the Auburns, the Alabamas, and those guys, they're looking at a value production model. So the athletes are going in there and saying, I'm valued at this, and they're paying millions of dollars, right? We're more set up as a production value model. So we're looking at production. We're looking at how many plays have you played? What does that value look at for us? And then what we take a look at from there is how do we help the athlete increase his brand, right? So how are we educating the athlete to understand that the community, and I'll use Murfreesboro as a great example, how can our athletes help our community and generate funds for themselves, but obviously generate funds for the university. But it is a different play game, right? It's not just here's $1 million. It's really how do you work that number out, but how do you educate the player really what it's about to do?
Yeah, and and one thing that Coach Mason has done that I'm still, and I've been around here a long time, and I'm trying to be able to figure out how this new world of college athletics is working. He talks about, the developmental side of players and how to embrace that, and just about what you were talking about as well. Help them develop while they enhance their brand, and there may be something down the road further for them somewhere else. Embrace that, become that program, and it will work out in a positive way in the long run for everybody.
Yeah, I call it the 6-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
Right? So I tell our athletes, like, hey, here's the 6-to-1 ratio. If you're a 6, a 5, or a 4, you're probably in the Power 4. If you're a 3, 2, or a 1, you're probably in a group of 5. So if you want to get to the Power 4, here's where you have to land from a production-based standpoint. The more you produce, your value will rise, right? If I can get your brand to show you that outside your income is your value rises, the better chance you're going to have to go take that leap if you want to. I'm in the process of trying to explain to coach, I don't want them to leap. I want them to stay and let us continue to, build their production. Let's build their, their game so they can say, hey, look, a group of 4 can really compete at a really high level. And you're seeing that at Boise State, right? Mm-hmm. There's still a group of 5 and they are producing a really high level of athlete, right? And I would like, I like to do that too. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, the money's there. And if I have a chance to help an athlete have that opportunity, I'm not going to say, oh, no, I really want to keep you, and I can't pay you the $1.5 million, right? But I do want the athletes to understand we are going to try to do everything in our program's possibilities to keep you here and say, hey, we're going to get you the money, but we're going to do it in a different way. And I think that helps coach with the production and everything else he wants to do.
Is that more of a long game than a short game?
Oh, absolutely.
Where the long game is, okay, we want to help you develop your brand and your production to where you're playing on Sundays, not necessarily where you're in a couple of years, not where you're developing and producing and playing in somebody else's stadium on Saturdays.
Right. I don't know. I think everybody has different philosophies on it. I just think that our guys, we have an opportunity to do something completely different. I'm not really going to try to compete with a Power 4 salary structure. But if we create an identity at MTSU that we are taking our athlete from point A to point B, and they're becoming better citizens in our community. Their brand is growing, their production on the field is growing, their performance is improving. I think that we're a win, and that will also show that the athlete's like, hey, look, MTSU did everything they possibly could to make us a better player, to take us to that next step. Now, if we can get them to the Power 4, if that's what they really want to do, then we'll work on that.
When you look at how you stack up with your peers, and obviously you start in your own conference, and
sure.
You look at that. Then you look at, with the Sun Belt or the Mountain West or the other group of five members, in your, because you have fresh eyes from the outside,
yeah,
and Coach Mason is also, his eyes are still fairly fresh, working into his second year. Kind of let folks know kind of where are we amongst our peers?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. It's something I learned at Auburn, right, when I was there. I don't really worry about our other opponent. I worry about what's inside of us.
Yep.
And I think when I met with some of our peers at a conference, and I looked at what they were doing, and they were pretty much still saying status quo of kind of how you're going to recruit and everything else, right? I just looked at it from a different business structure and different business model where I like what they're doing. I like where they're going. But I think if you take a look at over the last 5 months, we just came out with the #1 recruiting class in Conference USA. I think the way we restructured how we recruit, how we manage our systems and everything else was a big shift for MTSU football. So as much as I would like to see what Liberty and the WKUs are doing, I think it's very important that we really look internally and keep that inside of us and say, okay, no matter what they do, we got to do us, and we got to do us really well.
Yeah, and I think back to when you first were coming around almost on a consulting type basis.
Correct.
The laptop was out on flights, and the PowerPoints were going, and I'm guessing that there are a lot of metrics that you guys are using to put into this when you talk about, because this recruiting class that you mentioned was ranked number 1 overall in Conference USA really has a totally different look to it just from the eye test than what we saw walk on campus a year ago.
Yeah, no, I think Landon and Darius and Natasha, our recruiting group, has done a really phenomenal job of eyeing talent, but also it was a really interesting conversation when I was just the consultant part of it. I took a little bit of tidbits of what this program was saying when Coach Mason got here, right? They had 5 days when they first got here to do a total recruiting class. So they didn't bring in what they had, what they really truly wanted at that time. And they were going off of a team that had been together for a period of time with a coach that had been here for a long period of time. So I think what you're starting to get now is the recruiting department is really kind of bought into what Coach Mason is looking for and the measurements that he's looking for. And I've kind of stepped in and told our coaching staffs, hey, look, here's what it's going to do. We're going to shift, the photo shoots and all those things are going to go to the board, right? I need to know if they have a football IQ. That's going to help us get better. So you're taking a look at a little bit of that in a different light. And I think we're going to continue to change and see how that fits into Coach Mason's, vision. And I think the more we can do it, the better off we're going to be.
Do you feel like that there's still going to be a war of who can write the biggest checks at some of the other levels, and how is that going to be now that the NCAA has gotten out of the enforcement business and there's the new commission? Who's going to enforce salary caps?
Well,
at some of these other, it's just out of curiosity. That's a big problem here.
So it's a cool little project, right? So our compliance office, Daryl, is a phenomenal guy, and he and I sit on the new NIL Go committee, right?
Oh, really? Both of you are.
So, and we both looked at each other and said, okay, this is going to be a blast. Not really, but to really understand, what NIL Go means, how we're going to actually start paying people, what our cap is going to be, how that all looks. There's really 3 facets to this, right? So you've got the scholarship portion of that, right, with possibly moving our roster to 105. That obviously is now grandfathered in, right? So now you have the DSA athlete, which is a designated student athlete. As of April 7th, 2025, if you've been a designated student athlete, we cannot remove you from a roster. And no matter any time for the next 5 years, you can transfer anywhere you want, and you don't count against the roster cap of 105. So it's kind of a unique thing. So that just happened last night. So
that's an unrestricted free agent right there.
100%. So you got the scholarship, the scholarship portion, right? And then you've got what people have called internal NIL. Right? You can call it internal NIL, you can call it rev share, however you want to take a look at it, right? So how we're raising money, corporate-wise, donor-wise, those people are actually helping us pay our student athlete internally, right? We're taking the revenue, so more ticket sales, the more corporate sponsors, the more donors that we get, the bigger our internal NIL becomes, the more money we can spend. Then you've got the collective and the external NIL piece, where that is now being controlled through NIL Go, which is the Deloitte group from the SEC, and that's took the management out of the NCAA.
That's the old Deloitte and Touche CPAs.
100%. So
Okay.
that they took that out of the NCAA power. So now our student athletes now have a chance to go do their external NIL and get their contracts, but that is going to be controlled by Deloitte through NIL Go.
That's going to be really interesting because they're having to work with fair market value.
Correct.
Using that phrase,
Right.
fair market value.
Sure.
When all of a sudden, and Arch Manning's not going to be the guy, but I'm just pulling a name.
Sure.
Some high-profile national guy gets his NIL deal turned down by Deloitte because it is way over fair market value, because there is a piece of NIL where the student athlete is doing something to earn that.
That is true. I mean, what the external NIL is really meant to do is take that athlete, have an opportunity to work for a company, promote that company to earn that said money, right? But you take a look at fair market value for Middle Tennessee State. We live in the entertainment capital of the world, right? When you're taking a look at country music and things like that, our student athletes have an advantage of being in Murfreesboro because we're 30 minutes away from Nashville. So their reach, if you start taking a look at it from a business structure standpoint, Middle Tennessee athletes have a great opportunity to increase their external NIL because of where they're going to school. So I think, it's not just the big schools that can really grab that money. I think our student athletes have that great opportunity to do that as well.
Speaking of the entertainment piece, everybody's looking for creative ways to get, whether it's alums, fans, whatever it may be, to get them involved and to help build the NIL war chest in a creative way. You guys had an event back in, February maybe? January,
Yes.
February,
Yeah.
down at Uncle Nearest at the Humble Baron that included our College of Media and Entertainment was heavily involved in that with our recording industry people, our alumni from that area, but just an entertaining night. And it is, and I think more and more we're going to have to see across the country more creative ways that are palatable for people to open up, to swipe that credit card for an event, to go out, enjoy themselves, and have a great night.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you say that, right? That event was phenomenal, by the way. Uncle Nearest did a great job of hosting it, and AALC did a great job of putting it on. So one of the projects that we're working on right now is this community relation-based structure, right? How do we get our student athletes out inside of the community, right? So right now you'll see our football team at the farmers market downtown every weekend.
Not only just out there passing out schedules, I saw them
working
right. And selling tomatoes or cucumbers or whatever it may be.
That's part of a project that I've had going on since I got here is how do we get our football team and our athletes involved in the community? So I got a different structure about how to go about doing this, right? So my philosophy was very simple. If you want your community to come and watch you, go support your community. And our athletes are buying in on that of, helping at the farmers market was a good first step. If in July they're going to be your new ticket salespeople here on campus.
Oh, really?
So the idea is to get the people to understand that our athletes do care about our community. They want you to come and see them, but telling our athletes, hey, look, they got to know who you are, and you got to open up too. So it's to your point. I think there's being creative ways about going about doing that, and my creative way is how do we get the community to understand that our athletes really want them to come to the football game, and it will change. It will change how our team plays too, right? I've done this for a long time, and I don't think everybody wants to play in front of an empty stadium. So I think what you said earlier in the conversation, our offensive line right now is on average by 6'6", 330 pounds. They're not what you're typically used to seeing here, right? Our guys on the outside, our wide receivers are all 6'4", 6'2", and can run like the wind. So you have a quarterback that's coming back that threw for 3,000 yards 2 years back to back. It's going to be an exciting brand of ball. So to get those people out there to see that, they have to buy into that community spirit.
One of the other events you guys worked here very recently is, to be honest, is one of the biggest one-night community events we have, and that is the steak and burger dinner that that helps out the Boys and Girls Club. And Cedric the Entertainer, there's always a big headline act. Right. Jay Leno came a few years ago. Cedric the Entertainer was there this year. And for the second year in a row, Blue Raider football has been embedded within that event. And so kind of for folks who weren't part of the 600 or so that were in the audience that night, tell them what they did.
So it was kind of fun. So a lot of people don't understand that Coach Mason was part of the Boys and Girls Club when he grew up too. So he was also one of the speakers in that event. I think it's near and dear to his heart, right, that we are giving back to the community. I think the idea behind this is to change use projection of what MTSU football is all about. And how we go about doing that is, one, getting our head coach involved. You'll see him kind of everywhere in the next couple of weeks. But also, I think they did a phenomenal job raising money to take care of the kids there. If it was through raffles, the Cedric the Entertainer, the food, all those things that were phenomenal about it. But it was the outreach from the university. I know Dr. McPhee was there as well, and our athletic department was at show there too. So I just think it's a phenomenal event to raise money, raise awareness amongst the youth in the community. And I think Coach Mason, like I said, it's near and dear to his heart. So
we are all products of what we have experienced throughout our careers, and it's certainly true for coaches and administrators and things like that. And you came here from Auburn, which I think has one of the great community cultures in college athletics. And over the time that you were there, soaked all of that in. Right. And now I can see the wheels grinding in your head right now as you go about trying to engage that community culture with community pride here in the local.
Absolutely. I mean, at Auburn, I was there for 18 years, and it's always the AU family, right? And they do sell that to you, but you feel it, right? And the one thing I can say over the last 5 to 6 months, the people in Murfreesboro are absolutely phenomenal. They love this team. I think they're looking for an opportunity to go cheer for them and have that opportunity for a winning program. I'm super excited to have this opportunity to kind of like change and shift that culture look. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that family atmosphere and building community here.
One of the other things that's part of what you do is equipment, which includes uniforms, all of that gear, all of that kind of stuff. And I remember during basketball season, I ran into you in the hallway, and I said, "What are you doing today, Dana?" I said, "Oh, we're fitting helmets today and tomorrow."
Yep.
And I remember when my helmet had some sort of shoestrings and some canvas inside or whatever, right. and it was kind of wobbling on my head. That's not the way it is anymore.
No, it's not. And really, we brought a whole new technology structure to our equipment department, right? So this past spring, we went through a completely different overhaul of our helmet manufacturers and things like that. So we started 3D mapping and digitally imaging the helmets. And the concept behind this is very simple. Put the best possible technology on our athlete so they can play at a very high level, right? And they feel safe about the helmet and so on and so forth. So we're actually doing this next week. We're going through a whole new shoulder pad technology structure for our team. If you saw spring practice, we didn't use the Guardian cap.
Correct.
Because of the helmet that we're using now. The technology actually hinders that. So you'll see this in the fall. We will move to what is called a Q collar. It's a device that sits around your neck that actually leaves about an extra teaspoon of blood inside your brain to stop brain slosh. So at impact, your brain is actually kind of sitting in a seatbelt per se. So we're using a lot
kind of like a Hans device in NASCAR.
100%. So we're trying to use the best technology we can to protect our student athlete. And some of that is an educational-based system. So when you look at my equipment philosophy over 35 years, it's been service, education, and innovation. Service our student athlete, make sure they have everything they can to perform at a very high level. Educate them what their equipment can and cannot do, and then innovate. They play, I don't. They know some stuff I don't know, but I know how to go find it, right? So the innovation out there in technology in football today is off the charts, and I think having buy-in from obviously Dr. McPhee and Chris Massaro to go out and do that, I think has been phenomenal, and it tells you where we're going with the culture change. Going to the new sports performance building, we are going to go everything in on the technology and the performance of that athlete.
Well, and the other thing people want to know, because they want to have their gear before the season starts.
Sure.
What are the uniforms going to look like? Is there going to be any changes?
There are definitely changes to the uniform. We are only going to one helmet, so it will be the silver helmet. The decal system will look a little different. It will definitely be more of a professional three-stripe look. It will go through the helmet, things like that. Chin strap has changed. Decal has changed. Not from a look standpoint, just from a shine standpoint. It has a different look to it. The jerseys, we're only going white and royal blue. So that's the only two colors you're going to get. You'll have TV numbers back on the shoulders of the uniform. I think that was a request from some person across from me.
Maybe.
So we did want to have a cleaner look at the end of it. So the uniform did look a little bit more crisp. But other than that, I think that you'll see a little different look from our team, just how we're kind of rolling out. But white pant, blue pant, black cleats. So I'm telling you, when we went old school,
black cleats.
Black cleats.
See, there's something in there that black cleats make you look slower, even if you're faster. The psychological. I'm sure that's all part of it.
We'll see what happens. I think Coach Mason really wanted to go traditional uniform, and part of that tradition is making sure that all look together now. So I'm super excited for the new look and how it's going to be rolled out. So.
Well, I tell you, you've had your plate full, and it's going to continue to that.
Sure.
Best of luck with all that's going on, and congratulations on getting the guys out there, and making that community culture is something I think is going to be key to the success.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me.
Good deal. All right, Dana Marquez joining us today. We're going to step aside on the roundtable, and Nathan Wallach will be with us. We'll be talking about the Student Athlete Performance Center and all the building that's going on at MTSU. You're listening to the roundtable on WGNS. This is Chip Walters, and I'm honored to be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
Choosing the right insurance can be overwhelming. That's where Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance comes in. At Rayburn, we're not just about policies, we're about people. Rick Hall will take the time to understand your needs and find the best coverage at the best price. We've been serving our community since 1973. So why not let Rick Hall take the stress out of insurance? Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency, where you're more than just a policy number. You're our neighbors.
We're visiting with Jennifer Sanchez, manager of Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift at 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You're not just walking into just a big warehouse. You're walking into rooms. We've got a media room, we've got a boutique room, we've got a vintage room, a furniture area, kitchen, all that.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift.
Every day you go in there, I promise you it's changing.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift, 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Online at steeredstraightthriftstore.org. This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
What I like to think about Adams Place is it's sort of a pipeline.
Alan Butcher.
You enter in at the independent living end of it, and you go as far as you can. It just happens that my wife is in the memory unit, so I'm able to go over and see her each day, and that works out real well.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111.
Adams Place on Memorial, across from Walmart.
Good Neighbor Events is brought to you by the law offices of John Day, AmeriCare Pest Control, and Old National Bank.
I've got Here's Tom Sweat with AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
AmeriCare's moisture control services include mold testing, mold remediation, crawl space repair, vapor barrier, sump pump installation, radon testing, radon mitigation, and basement waterproofing. If there's something wrong in your crawl space or basement, we can probably help. Just ask for a free inspection.
893-7111. AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
Let's check those WGNS Good Neighbor events. You've heard us talking about Greenhouse Ministries. They've just opened the Spring House, and they need volunteers. The best thing to do is attend the volunteer orientation. That's every Thursday morning at 10 at Greenhouse Ministries, 307 South Academy Street. Oh, and if you want to be a part of the Live in the Borough Talent Show, which this year has a $1,000 cash prize, here's how you audition. Make a video of your talents and send it to Greenhouse. There's a local author book signing at the Line Ball Library this Saturday. M.A. Grant will be there signing and selling copies of 3 historical fiction novels. Grant intertwines elements of social reform, romanticism, and historical accuracy, creating compelling narratives that stand the test of time. Meet local author M.A. Grant this Saturday at the Line Ball Public Library. That's at 105 West Vine Street in downtown Murfreesboro. Oh, the Parkinson Support Group meets on the first and third Friday of each month at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A heat advisory remains in effect. Mostly sunny skies this afternoon, high in the upper 90s. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 75. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 78.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios. Take control of your account management and energy consumption with the MyMTE app. Download from the App Store and manage your account, improve your energy habits, and more. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Wednesday Roundtable here on WGNS, and our first segment today was with Dana Marquez, who's the Associate AD of Equipment and Football General Manager for Blue Raider Football, and we continue the Blue Raider theme here in the second half of our show and bring on Nathan Wallach, Assistant AD for Broadcast Technology and Game Operations, and there's no shortage when it comes to titles, right?
You're exactly right about that. We'll be having capital projects there here in a little bit, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, well, Dana, talked a lot about what they're doing with football. That's all got to be housed somewhere, and one of the things you're looking right down the barrel of is the opening of the Student Athlete Performance Center. And before we talk about that, back up just a little bit. Nathan is kind of one of those guys that reminds me of me. You've been around here a long time and came here as a student, and they could just not get you out the door. So kind of what is give folks that don't know you, there's a lot listening today that do, but those who don't, what is the Nathan Wallach story and that got you here and as you've progressed through your career?
In 2004, I came down here for my undergrad.
2004?
2004.
You've been here 21 years?
I've been here for a while.
Wow.
So I came to MTSU for digital animation, realized I couldn't draw very well, so swapped over to video production. Graduated with my undergrad in 2009, had a great opportunity with Dr. Jubenville in the Health and Human Performance Department and Sport Management Program to get my master's, and he connected me with Coach Davis, and I thought I wanted to get into basketball operations. I love sports and wanted to kind of tailor my way that way. With my video background, I knew that was my foot in the door. So he had just hired a new Dobo who wasn't very video savvy. And he said, if you teach him video, he'll teach you operations. Did that for a year. Athletic communications, kind of noticed some of the video work I was doing. And Bradley Lambert, he offered me an internship. I graduated with my master's in 2010. That internship lasted till 2012, became full-time, and just kind of been working my way up the chains since then. So I've been in the department since 2009, but I've been full-time since 2012.
We were talking during the break about some old times, and you mentioned when you spent that time on Kermit's staff, that was the year we went out to UCLA and Middle hit a ton of threes, and LaRon Dendy had his big coming out party, and Middle went out and just beat UCLA by 20 in Los Angeles, and we were kind of kings of the world out there, and that's been a while. That's been a while, longer ago than I want to think about. So, but that was fun.
It was. I think about that trip and kind of the tipping point of men's basketball. We had some success, off and on before that, but really what that team meant for the program and for this department and what it kind of cascaded the next several years. I've been fortunate to see a lot of incredible games, both men's basketball, women's basketball, football, softball games, volleyball matches. I mean, I've had the opportunity to travel to and with a lot of fun times and fun teams. And
what you do now is not only is it a career, it's a labor of love as well, because you want to help see this thing through. Yep. And now in what is a new era of Blue Raider football, and we've all seen lots of changes, but with Blue Raider football, one of the biggest things that can happen will be the opening of the Student Athlete Performance Center. And right now, there is a ribbon cutting schedule for July 30th at 9 a.m. But that means a lot of things have to happen between now and July 30th. What are the next 4 or 5 weeks going to be like for you trying to pull all this together? So we've got an incredible team here on campus, and then the contractors and the architects and everybody. We are having weekly meetings, and we've been having weekly meetings for the duration of the construction timeline. But right now we're looking at substantial completion on July 1st. So wow, pretty much everything big is done at that point. And as this airs, that's like a week from now. So yeah, so it's crunch time. But then really a lot of the extra stuff happens. So we talk about if it's not bolted down, that's when everything starts moving in. So July 1 is substantial completion for the building and the general contractor to say we're ready to go. All the concrete's poured, the paint's done, all the lighting fixtures are in, electrical's working, everything. Well, then we've got to come in, and we've got a $900,000 weight room to get installed. We have sports medicine equipment to get delivered and trained on. We've got furniture to finish going in. We are able to get some of it going in now, but the bulk of it is going to go in. After that, we've got a brand new red light therapy room that needs to get built and installed after July 1. So we've got... Does blue light therapy not work? I was really hoping to be blue, but we don't like red in the building. But that room. And then on top of that, we've got to get ready for football camp. And there's, the equipment room and what Dana was talking about with that entire operation has to move over to a new building, get all their equipment, not only installed, but in all the cubbies and get all the player gear ready. And then they've got to figure out their systems. And we also need the coaches to get in there because we want they don't need to be moving during fall camp. Right. Yeah. And they also need to be able to answer the question from the players. Hey, where's the cornerback meeting room? Oh, it's right down here, second door on your left or wherever. So it's there's a lot of moving parts. It's really exciting, and I'll be ready for July 30th. Yeah, you'll have a cold soda pop on that day. Yep, for sure. To kind of give folks a mental tour of they drive over to Murphy Center for all kinds of things, and over the last 2 years, they've seen this thing come out of the ground, and we're getting very close to this finishing point. We're seeing the finished concrete around the building, things like that are happening. But let's kind of go floor by floor. First floor, ground floor. This is going to be the floor that every student athlete from all 17 sports will have access to and will gain benefit from. Yes. So as you walk up to the building, the big thing that catches your eye is the jewel box. The glass. All the glass. We have dubbed it the jewel box. So right under there is going to be our main entrance, our lobby entrance. You walk in the lobby, on your left, there's going to be a nutrition station for all the student athletes. There's going to be sandwich prep and food prep, and then some grab-and-go stuff up against the wall and coolers with Gatorades and Muscle Milks and all that. As you keep going to your left, you'll go to the front of the building where it's all glass front, and that'll be the Kevin Byard Strength and Conditioning Center.
So that room is going to be for all student athletes, and it's going to be our new primary weight room. Behind that, so as you veer to your left and you go to the right at the end of the hall, is our new TOA training room that has six taping tables, 14 treatment tables, 2 cold and hot tubs, and then a HydroWorks 2000 hydrotherapy tub, which evidently is a really big deal. I've learned a lot about underwater treadmills all of a sudden, but we've got a dedicated space at the end of the room for hydrotherapy for our student athletes. So that's kind of the front half of the building, and that is open and available to all student athletes. The back side of the first floor will be the football locker room and football player lounge. And then behind that, so you're basically up against the wall going into Floyd Stadium, will be the new football equipment room.
Okay, so all that is what's going on there. That's a good place for us to step aside as we take our final break today. Nathan Wallach joining us here on the second half of the show. We're talking about the Student Athlete Performance Center. We've got the second and third floors to go. We'll talk about that and more as we continue on the Roundtable here on WGNS.
When the weather turns bad, minutes, even seconds matter.
This is an early heads up for southern Rutherford County.
Rutherford Weather brings you live radar and expert meteorologist insight, giving you the early heads up when storms threaten.
A lot of areas are going to see some impacts from this storm.
From analysis to live camera views, we keep you informed before, during, and after the storm.
I think the vast majority of the hail with this now is going to be quarter to perhaps golf ball size.
Rutherford Weather. Stay ahead of the storm.
Hey, did you see that crowd last week?
Well, it's the 50th season. What'd you expect? Fireworks?
Nah, just sweet corn and smiles.
This year marks 50 fresh, flavorful seasons at the Rutherford County Farmers Market at Lane Agri Park in Murfreesboro.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet?
RV wins!
Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach?
RV wins!
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has given you the opportunity to build your next success. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs in career-relevant fields like business, healthcare, data analytics, cybersecurity, and more. Plus, we offer 100% online and hybrid courses, personalized advising, and lifetime career services. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
First Shot, growing in Christ with life and athletic skills.
So we teach God's Word at everything we do to implant it in them so that they understand that the only way to get through the world is with God on their side.
First Shot founder and executive director Andy Herzer.
Our focus is on our inner city here at Patterson Park.
From academics to athletics, First Shot's focus is toward building a stronger, more courageous spirit to face opportunities and obstacles that our youth confront every day. To find out more about First Shot, go to firstshottn.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable here on this Wednesday as we talk Blue Raider athletics. Dana Marquez was with us in the first half of the show. Nathan Wallach here in the second half. If you missed any of this, you can go back and catch it on the podcast section of wgnsradio.com. Nathan, before the break, we talked about the first floor, how all student athletes are going to have access to a lot of that, but football locker room will be down there as well. You get to the second floor, and here's where a lot of the football work will take place with coaches, with the meeting rooms, where they go watch film. All of that kind of stuff is going to be happening on the second floor.
Yep. So there's two entrances for the second floor. We've got front of house or kind of everybody's entrance and then a back of house stairwell. So when you come up the front stairwell or the front elevator, you open up to the football reception area or lobby of the Joey Jacobs Football Operations Center. So but when you're standing there, there's two entrances to that floor. To the right are all the offices, and they loop around, and then to the left is all the meeting rooms. So it was designed that way for easy flow for the student athletes to understand if I'm going to meetings, I go left, I'm going to find one of my coaches or support staff, I'm headed right. And the same thought is on the back of house stairwell. So the players go to the locker room, drop their bags, and they have easier access up the back stairwell to get to the meeting rooms and the coaches' offices. So this is all of football operations. So we've got a dedicated suite for recruiting and their creative department. For player personnel, there's a dedicated suite for the video department. It's probably one of the nicest video offices in the nation. Definitely.
It's just like the one you had when you were a student here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then as you make your way towards the back of the building or the Floyd Stadium side, the way all the coaches' offices were designed, the coordinators are in the corners, and they kind of anchor the corners. And then it'll be offensive coordinator in the right corner, it'll be offensive assistants towards the center of the building to the head coach's office, which will be center. And then from that, it'll be defensive assistants going out to the defensive coordinator anchoring the corner. We've got a special teams suite that's kind of tucked in behind the
well, that's where the kickers need to go anywhere.
Yeah,
anyway.
there you go.
Hide the kickers, right?
Yep. We've got staff rooms for all staff, then offensive staff, defensive staff. We've got an all-team meeting room with
160 seat theater, basically,
yep,
right?
Yep.
Wow.
160 dream seats that are made for the O-line and D-linemen. So if they're comfortable, we know everybody else is going to be comfortable. And then we're going to have there's a couple of extras. The radio booth at Floyd Stadium would be a great spot for those. There you go. and then we've got our position breakout rooms, and then there's the defensive staff room. So when they meet as a whole team, and then when just defense needs to meet, defense will break out to their team meeting room, and the offense will stay in their room. And there's also a media center on the second floor where we'll be doing all of our weekly press conferences and post-game press conferences. And then there's a little control room adjacent to that, and then men's and women's locker rooms up there.
Oh, wow. So that's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on the second floor. Now, the third floor is the area that the public will be in more than any of the other stuff. Yep. We're talking about a lot of hospitality. We're talking about team dinners, things like that. But talk about the third floor from the point of view of game day, what that's going to be like.
The SRM Concrete Club, which is the third floor, is going to be our newest premium space. It is going to be wall-to-wall viewing angle. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to see the game from the end zone. The elevation that you're at, it is one of the best views in the stadium, to be honest. It's got a great shot of our brand new video board on the other end, and you can see everything out there. So there will be no fixed seating in this space, that way that the room can adapt to game days, because we've got a really good idea of how that room is going to operate on game day, but we still don't fully know until we get people in there and moving around. So we've kind of left it open to interpretation on how that's going to flow. It will feature the Uncle Nearest bar. That is the first and only full-service bar in any of our venues. And then there are food buffet lines in the center of the room, and then there's a permanent food prep station on the other side of the room, along with a 198-inch LED screen in the center of the room, along with two other TVs on either side. We've got a nursing mother suite there, which is exciting for everybody that might need that within the stadium. And then there's also a dedicated adult changing table in a private bathroom for any of our fans that might need that as well.
Gotcha. And there are two 40-person suites on either end of that building, and those, whoever has those, and I think one of those is still available, if I'm correct.
Correct.
So here's your chance.
Yep.
And they will have access to the SRM Concrete Club and the Uncle Nearest bar as well.
Yes. Both of those groups will have access in there. Blue Raider Athletic Association is looking to sell about 100 tickets in there because we don't want to overcrowd it on the first season and really see how the room is going to flow and operate.
It's my understanding that a lot of these, they've been given some tours on Friday afternoons to prospective ticket holders, and those have garnered fruit.
Yes, yes. Everybody has been excited about the space. Some people have made decisions either direction, but I believe that their success rate is pretty high right now. Well, once people are able to get up there and see that view, it is incredible. And then we've got a nice lightning bolt feature in the ceiling that just kind of adds to the atmosphere.
Very nice, very nice. One of the things that is kind of amazing to me is that as you are in the SRM club, the concrete club, looking down on the field, you're looking at a brand new synthetic turf, which in itself in a normal year would have been a huge story, but it has kind of taken back seat to the opening of the SAPC. But let me tell you, this turf is beautiful. It is vibrant. The colors just pop. It looks, it has a much different look, and technologically, it is well advanced of what we had.
Yes, it has. Walking out on it, it is instantly a different experience from somebody that has walked on a lot of turf fields, but I've never ran on a turf field, so I don't really know. But talking to our players so far, it all has a lot of positive reviews. Not only does it feel softer, the temperatures are down a lot. I think one really interesting fact is everybody's used to the rubber pellets on the infield.
You would see a guy slide, and all of a sudden you have a black cloud of pellets go. That's not the case anymore.
That is not the case anymore. You're still going to see a brown cloud come up a little bit, but it's actually ground up walnut shells, and it is a natural infill, and that is to help with.
And I heard they're
heat.
Hypoallergenic.
They are hypoallergenic.
How about that?
They have taken the allergen out for anybody that has a peanut allergy, but it is even though we're not even in the heat of the summer yet, you can already tell a huge difference walking out on the field.
So that's that piece, and you mentioned the video board, which was new last year. The stadium is going to have a different look and feel to it, and with that building, we saw it kind of coming up. It looked like Tinker Toys last year during the football season, but now it has really closed in, and you know it's going to hold noise, and so now you just need to be part of making that noise, and it's going to be a lot of fun out there.
It is going to be a lot of fun. I think our game day, I think the feel in the stadium is going to be different. We added a ribbon board to the front of the SAPC. It's the same pixel pitch or the same pixels as the new board in the opposite end zone. It's 4 feet tall, 163 feet wide, and I think it is also going to add a lot to the atmosphere. And like you said, really keep that noise in the bowl.
And then some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, you opened up a brand-new control room that will control what's going on the video boards in Murphy Center Football Stadium. You can do ESPN3 or Plus broadcasts out of there. A lot of those things that are behind the scenes. New sound system in Murphy Center can blow the roof off the place. So when you get ready for basketball, get ready for that. But a lot of things happening, and you've had your fingers in the pie on all of that, and couldn't be more proud for you to get this thing finished here in about a month. So I know you're going to be very proud of it. I know the football team is going to be very proud of it, and just I hope the public comes out and has a chance to see this and takes as much pride in it as everybody here on campus has as they talk about it.
I completely agree with you. I think that we have proven that we are making the investment into our programs and into the student athletes, and it's going to bring some positive results. I think the fan base should come out and check it all out.
Have a lot of fun. Nathan, thanks so much for the time today.
Thanks, Chip.
All right, Nathan Wallach joined us. As we mentioned, Dana Marquez was with us for the first half. And as we also mentioned, if you missed any of this and want to check it out or just can't get enough of us, it's all on the podcast section of wgnsradio.com. We'll have another good show for you coming up next week, so stick around. Brian Barrett is next, right here on the Big G, WGNS.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out